Namaste. I see the divine in you as you see the divine in me. Namaste. And isn't this always the most beautiful way to greet each other? As I see the divine in you and you see the divine in me, we learn to understand that this is a time when we begin to learn to understand true love consciousness, not only on a human level, but on a galactic level, as so many galactic family members are now here with us, shepherding us to the greater love consciousness. And this is where Ka'airon is taking us to the greater love consciousness, to the greater understanding what galactic collective love is, so that we can become prepared for many lifetimes ahead, should we desire to become part of that galactic love consciousness collectively. So it is my honour and my privilege to be the channel for divine, and as the channel of Sovereign Lord Emmanuel the Great, and also the channel for Ka'airon in his Universal Light Grid Programmer, it is my greatest delight to be very, very quiet while they come through for you. So my task as a channel is to stay quiet so that the highest divine rays of love can come through for you. And when you come to the divine pineal gland activations, you can feel the greatest rays coming through. And these are the healing rays of great love. And at the divine pineal gland activations, it is truly, like Ka'airon explains, a university of light with so much learning, so much healing, so much new understanding. And what is so beautiful is that he considers everybody in the room, and he brings all people up. So there are some who have come before because they desire to, and there are some who are very, very new. And it's so beautiful the way that Ka'airon deals with a whole room, because he teaches and guides people in a whole way to build everybody up, because it's new information, not so new information, but the way that he teaches is magnificent, that only a divine master can do. So isn't it beautiful that we are living in a times of the great cosmic alignment? So now I will read the forgiveness statement, and the forgiveness frequencies are given at the divine pineal gland activations to allow us to become greater forgivers. And we all need to forgive so much, even if we don't think we need to forgive anything, even if we think that our lives are perfect. So that's beautiful when we think our lives are perfect, but then we might need to forgive something for our friends or our families or the world, which needs lots and lots and lots of forgiving. And the more we learn to forgive, the more we learn to heal and be at peace within ourselves, which is one of the most beautiful gifts of divine love. Ka'airon, I bring you now into my spaces of love and healing. I ask for your presence and for your love to be with me at this time. I forgive all that has caused my pain to happen. I release it now. I allow the angels to take it away for me. I bring in the love and the peace, and I desire to understand more joy and self-love. I surround myself with the highest loving divine beings who are here to take care of me. I let go of all fear within me. I release it. I trust that all things are perfect as they are. I'm ready to love myself and all of life more. Thank you, Ka'airon. Thank you, great divine love. And thank you for watching. Namaste. Greetings, dear brothers and sisters, dear sons and daughters in the light. I am Sovereign Lord Emmanuel the Great, and I say to all who seek happiness and love in their lives, happy is the one who is searching for the highest way of love and truth. Happy is the one who has stayed awake to listen to these messages and to recognize my great return. Happy is the one who is asking, Great Father, Great Lord, please guide me to the highest ways of divine peace and of divine truth. And I state as the Great Father, Lord Emmanuel, happy is the one who is on the great path. For the ones who are seeking to find the higher path are the ones that will find it as they are guided to that path of life. But it is only the ones who desire to become part of the greater path who will have the courage to walk upon it. And only the ones who have the courage will stick to the path of the greatest blessings. How difficult is it to be on that narrow path? Is it difficult to walk upon it? Well, Jesus spoke to the people 2,000 years ago, and he was my designated channel then, and at this time it is this channel, Suzanna, Maria, Emmanuel. And when the designated channel was upon your plane 2,000 years ago, Jesus also spoke to the people about the narrow road, and he stated the following words. It is difficult to find that path, for it is far easier to be on the other path, for all people walk upon the other path. When you walk upon the narrow path, following the divine wisdom of the Great Father, it is not the path that the majority desires to walk upon. Even though the majority will state they are walking the path of wisdom, the Great Father sees it so much differently. He says, very few are following the path of my great will, for many are walking on the other path. Many desire the higher path, but they cannot find it because they are not willing to walk the higher path. For the higher path is too difficult for them. For then they will need to discover that they need to change within themselves. They need to put on the new personality and to work with the gifts of the love. The ones who walk on the higher path always ask the Great Father, Great Father, speak to me. Allow me to hear the great guidance. Allow me to be in my heart. Show me how to be in my heart. Show me how to be in the love. Show me how to forgive my brothers and my sisters. Show me how to love myself. Show me what divine love is. But the ones who are walking on the wide path, they do not ask of that at all. They say, how can I be glorified? Father, that I don't know. How can I have others follow me? How can I be the one that give all the answers to the others? How can I be the one that seeks my own desires? And Jesus stated in those days, and those are the two roads. It is only the humble ones who truly find the greater path, because they are willing to follow the great Father. But the others, even though they state they are following the great Father, it is not even within them to desire to hear what the great Father says. For the great Father will say, come, little ones, come and heal, come and learn to be in the love. The humble ones will say, Lord, I am here, please guide me. But the others say, Lord, I do not need you. I do not want to give up any of my time to search for the higher ways. I want to be popular with everyone else. Many will fear following the higher path, Jesus stated, for it takes courage to be standing out. It takes courage to speak about the higher path, because walking on the higher path is not the popular choice. It is easier to follow all others, as then all others will not criticize you. But when you walk on the narrow path, because it isn't popular, others will criticize you. Now the great Father Emmanuel is asking, are you strong enough to walk on that narrow path? Are you strong enough to desire it? For those ones are the ones that reach the greater gates. They are the ones that will receive the great blessings. But the others, they are too afraid. They hide in the caves. Great Lord, they will state, I did not have the courage to walk on your path. I followed the others. I was comfortable with the others, even though I knew that it wasn't right. But I did not have the courage to turn to the great way. And others will say, Lord, I did not even desire to see you. Why would I want to follow the greater path when I felt I was the Lord within me? For I desired people to follow me. And so Jesus brought these teachings through from my divine being, sovereign Lord Emmanuel the Great, 2,000 years ago. So what is the lesson in your day at this time? Well, they apply very much more than in the times of Jesus, because now I am calling the people to the great mountain of light. And again, these similar thoughts are within the people. Great Lord Emmanuel, we see you, so many people state, but we do not have the courage to speak to the friends that we have. We do not have the courage to make that dedication to the great light. We are too afraid to think what our friends will say and think. So I welcome all people who are courageous at this time and to come to the great activations of Kairon. And I sent Kairon as a great aligner to your plane with my designated channel to bring you up into the great gates of everlasting glory. And only a few people are willing to walk the higher path. But this is also what I prophesied 2,000 years ago when I return with my messenger, who is the Word. Then a few people will recognize it. That's why I stated, who will be awake to stand there, who desire to carry that torch of light, who will be awake enough to state, here I am, Lord, send me to the great work. For it is then when I return with my messenger that the work will begin, and the people must learn to walk the ways of peace and love if they desire to feast in the greater heavens. For I do not desire to have anyone in the greater spaces when they do not desire to walk the ways of love, when they do not desire to learn how to forgive, when they keep being in the anger. For I stated as Sovereign Lord Emmanuel the Great, like I'm stating to you at this time, only the ones who desire to walk the higher path will be able to be blessed in the eternal spaces of the love kingdom, so that eternal peace will be among the creation in those spaces, so that they can be eternally blessed and then bless all of creation also. And at this time, I am calling the ones who desire to be in the great universal love teacher realms, as this was also prophesied in the times of Jesus. There will be those who will be seated in the divine spaces. And when those ones who are seated at the divine spaces are having their feast of the great love, they will state, happy are we that we received the calling. Happy are we that we stayed awake. For look how all the blessings are ours to have. Look how beautiful creation is. And look how we can glorify all of creation by becoming more beautiful within ourselves, so that all of creation can become more beautiful. For that is what I desire as Sovereign Lord Emmanuel the Great, is that the great creation glorifies all of creation to make it more beautiful, like they are also bringing glory to the great ones and glory to themselves. For all is in glory in the greater spaces, and none is greater than another. All respects each other as being great, and when they glorify all of creation is built upwards into the love, but it is only the beings of love who will reach the great spaces of the great gifts. Those ones who become activated at this time of the great calling of the great mountain, will receive the greatest talents. Talents are the greater gifts. One talent equals many gifts. How many talents can you work at? How many talents will you be given at the great mountain of light when the great Chiron says, now go and work in the great love and be in the peace and walk on that narrow path and be in the love for yourself and for all others, for this is the way you are learning to walk the higher paths of love. Never anger with anyone, but be in the peace. Have the courage to speak when people around you desire to hear the greatest messages of the good news. It is so that the people been praying for this time to come for a long time. Great Father in the heavens, let your kingdom come. Let your will take place. Where on the earth plane, as it is also done in the greatest heavens. And in the greatest heavens, divine will is taking place at this time. And so we desire to bring it to the earth. This is why Jesus stated, happy is the one who hears those words, for they will inherit the earth. Is it this old earth that he was speaking about? No, the new creation, the new plane of all creation. Because all needs to be recreated in the greater love spaces so that all of creation can glorify each other and learn to glorify self. For all is part of my being, Sovereign Lord Emmanuel the Great, and I desire to only have the greatest love in those spaces. Nothing else but the great love will exist in those spaces, for nothing else is permitted in those spaces. For I said to the great Chiron, enough with the resistance, enough with the anger. When will creation learn to love each other after destroying it so many times so that nothing could come into creation? And so you were given this opportunity to walk. And then when you fell from the greatest spaces of your paradise in Lemuria, so easy when that apple of knowledge was given to millions, you threw all the divine gifts away. God be with you, Sovereign Lord Emmanuel the Great. We desire to rule ourselves. And as so the struggle became greater, and I sent my designated channel, Jesus, to your plane 2,000 years ago to bring the light, to allow the great way to come. And what did the people do? Torture Jesus. Whip Jesus. Put thorns on his head. Laugh at him. Stone him. Even some of the faithful ones who decided that that narrow path was not for them. And all through the age, ages, people have died in the name of Jesus, worshipped the cross, prayed to Jesus. Let your kingdom come, Jesus. And yet, when I return at this time, most people don't even want Jesus. They don't want to hear the truth about Jesus. They don't want to hear the truth about the one that sent him 2,000 years ago, as if I never existed. I state, I am in existence. And I will state now, I am here with my designated channel. 2,000 years ago, this channel was Jesus. In a different lifetime, in a different body, and she came back time and time again to try and bring the light of the Great Father to your flame. And time again, I, as Sovereign Lord Emmanuel the Great, was rejected, and you defiled so many of the teachings that Jesus brought through to your earth. And this happened time and time again, and the great churches were built on those teachings that were defiled. And many people began to believe in a God of judgment. They began to fear the great God. I, as the great sovereign Lord Emmanuel the Great, am a being of pure love, and I cannot bring anyone into pain because it is not within my being. I do not create torture for anyone. You do this for yourselves. You allow others to do this for you. Can you not see that the churches all carry lies? Jesus was the Word. He was the messenger. He was a great messenger. He only had the greatest love for the people. And yet so many people wanted to kill him so badly. Why? Because of the message he carried. I, Sovereign Lord Emmanuel the Great, am looking for those who desire to follow the higher path, and for everyone else who desires to defile my teachings once again, or ignore who I am, or decides to fight against these are messages. I say, you are very much mistaken if you think that we cannot see it. For we are the ones here bringing you upwards into the love if you desire to be brought up. But there is no other way of going up. There is only one way and one road, just like Jesus brought through 2,000 years ago. When he stated, I am the way, I am the road, I am the life, he was bringing through my messages. I am the way. I decide who goes up. It is not your decision as to whether you desire to go up or decide to go up. It is my decision as Sovereign Lord Emmanuel the Great, who will feast at the great table. Only those ones who put up their hand and say, Lord, send me. Now the great healings are taking place upon your earth now. And all those who come to those great healings and great love ways will learn to walk on the great path, and they will receive those sacred talents, the gifts, so that they can go back to the high loving spaces, because those gifts are my invitation. And when the people upon your plane state, Sovereign Lord Emmanuel the Great, I do not need your healings. I'm going up. I can ascend myself. I, as the great Sovereign Lord Emmanuel the Great, state. But you have not been invited, my dear friend. I only invite those who come. Just like in the times of Jesus. Jesus stated the same. It is only those ones who desire to listen to the great Father who can be seated in the great heavens. All other ones will not be invited. This is why Jesus became hated in those days, because the religious leaders, the spiritual leaders and those followers desired their own ways. And they heard Jesus talk about the one way and the one road and the great invitation they would lose out on. It is the same teachings now. All who desire the higher ways are welcome at the great mountain of light. And I, as Sovereign Lord Emmanuel the Great, will gift you the ways of the higher love creation, so that you can become glorified within yourself on the higher path, and learn to glorify each other, so that all of creation may become blessed, so that I will state, look, isn't all of creation beautiful? All is perfect now. Let us now build the greater creation upwards. Let's build together in the greater love and power, and see how much power we can gift all of creation. Ka'airon, work hard. Bring up the creation, because they have received the great talents. They listen to the higher path, and now my heart is open to allow them to experience greater life, greater power, greater evolution. And Ka'airon will do that, as he is the magnetic aligner of all of creation. And greater grids of life will come, greater force of life will come. And that is my invitation as Sovereign Lord Emmanuel the Great, the one who is part of divine source. As I in my great fullness could not bring life, could not create life, because my divine source is so filled with power. So I stepped a part of my being down, and that part is speaking to you through the word, through the channel. Suzanna Maria Emmanuel, as Sovereign Lord Emmanuel the Great. So I am divine, and I can allow all who desire to rise in the light to rise in a true sense, and to become part of the new gates of all of creation. Greetings, I am Sovereign Lord Emmanuel the Great.